Hello, welcome to part 2. Got all the parts for the seat to go together now, all painted. Now this is the seat base. It's elementary, but you'll notice that this part here is a different shape to there. Now this obviously goes up against the gearbox tunnel, so this is the up and that's the down. And the first job that we have to do is to get the new diaphragms clipped onto the rubber. So I'll go ahead and get that fitted on that way round, and then we'll move on to the base and then the covers. It's a nice warm day today, so I'm just leaving the vinyl in the sun, the vinyl and leather seat cover in the sun, just to become a little bit more supple. Right, have the new diaphragm on now. It's just a matter of stretching the metal clips over. You just need to place the rubber on. The foam, sorry, not the rubber. When you're fitting the foam to the base, make sure that the edge of the foam lines up with the stitching around the top edge, so that when it's compressed, the edge of the foam follows the contour of the stitching. Now what you need to do, you need to push it down. You've got to be quite, not brutal, but you need to be quite firm. Just get that one down so that it sits right. Now these clips are the ones that hold them. Now the way to put them on is to position them, put the first clip, the top edge on position, and then push round. Now the reason for doing that is that they've got little teeth here, and if you push the clip from underneath and then onto the top, it will cut the vinyl. But if you put the clip in position there and then push down, if it does mark the vinyl, it's hidden under the seat and it won't show. So I should go on and get all those clips all the way round, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, got the seat cover on now. Just one or two things just to point out. When you're putting the clips on, try and get them as level as possible, because it just looks a little bit neater. When you're stretching the vinyl, just before you put the clips on, make sure you stretch it evenly, because if you pull it tighter in one place, it's going to be a little bit more compressed, and if it's a bit loose in the other, obviously it's going to end up with a wavy look. One thing to note, when you're cutting the vinyl after you've got it on, just to be a little bit careful. You can always cut a little bit more off, but if you cut it too short or too tight, you can't stick it back on. These little tabs here pull forward and hold there with the seat runners on. So I'm going to go on and get the seat runners on now, and then to save time, I'll switch the video on at the appropriate moment. Okay, that's the seat cover base fitted with the runners. I've always use, when you're putting bolts in, use the copperies only on the bolts. If you're putting anything on the runners themselves, I tend to use just ordinary Vaseline or BP jelly, whatever you want to call it, because that way it won't get onto your clothes and do any damage if you're sitting in the seat with a coat on or anything like that. So that's all done. I'll move on to the seat back now. I'll get everything set up and then we'll switch on and have another go. Right, we're moving on to the seat back now. Painted, as you see, had all the rubber sorted. The trellis work is now on with the clips. We have the horsehair backing which fits over that. Just a matter of placing it on, really, making sure it fits there. I've got some jute over the top of it just to give it a little bit of form. Now the trick I use is a polythene, well, this is a waste bag liner, and if you pull this down over the seat, a bit fiddly, but it does go. Does two things. It holds the horseshoe in position, but the main job for it. Actually, I forgot to put the vinyl in the leather. I keep calling it vinyl. The leather seat cover in the sun. So I'll just let that warm up for a few minutes and then I'll come back. Yeah, good job I forgot to put it in the sun, because I also forgot to put the cut the holes and put the studs in for the seat rest. Now this is a new one, new pattern copy that I've got, and this is the original that I've cut off. And I've got to be honest with you, the original looks better, looks a better quality item than the aftermarket part. So I'm going to try and get this one off, and then that has got to be. You've got to cut your leather. You've got 6 across, so obviously the centre of that needs to be on the centre of the thing, and it just needs to be slightly back from this edge. So I'm going to get all that all marked up now, and you cut the hole smaller because the leather can stretch a little bit, and if it stretches it pops out. So cut quite a small hole, fit this in so it's really tight. And you've got to turn it over and then bend these flanges over the metal insert in there to hold it all together. So that's going to take a while. So I'll crack on with that and get that done. Then we'll come back to fit in the cover. Okay, I've got the bevel in now for the headrest. Sorry I couldn't show you, but it takes quite a while and it's quite fiddly, but basically you just got to cut a very small hole and force the bevel in. Don't cut the hole to size, otherwise the leather will pop out around the back of the bezel. You then got to turn the seat cover inside out, and then you've got to, well, you can't see it because it's difficult, then you just fold the tabs over. Now unfortunately I couldn't use the original one because the tabs broke off as I tried to remove it, but that'll do. Right, reason for the polythene bag is to enable the seat cover to slide easily over the horsehair and the flocking. So literally you just catch hold of it and very gently ease it on. It's quite a tight fit, but believe you me, these polythene bags make life a lot easier. Make a bit of space. Right, basically that's the first step done. Make sure it's nice and tight down through there. One thing I should have pointed out, you've got plywood here. it's always best to replace this. I've got a new sheet of 13mm ply, so I've just used a template, cut it off and refixed it back on. Now what you've got to do when you come to fold this over and staple it is cut this foam off. But again, like I was saying with the seat base, little and often, it's much better to cut a little bit off and do it 3 times than cut too much off and mess it up. As I said, these seat covers are quite expensive and you need to have it right. Before we go any further, that lines up there. That just needs to come over the one side to make sure it fits. Yeah, that's pretty good. I can adjust that as I go on. Right, now what you need to do now, actually this one isn't too bad, it's better, it feels better than the other side. But this is the driver's side, so I'm gonna put a little bit of extra flocking in, which I've made. So basically you just make your sock like that. Just put your hand up inside. Keeping it flat, it must be flat, otherwise you'll see lines in the leather. Just like that, and then that bulks it out a little bit and fills it out. As you can see, even though it's not stapled at the moment, that there is fairly tight. And this one here is quite wrinkled, so I'm going to put this other sock in there, get that through, do a little bit of trimming up, and then I'll come back and show you how to staple the bottom end. Okay, we're just pulling up the seat cover now. You grab hold of it and pull it up tight and wrap it round the piece of wood. I use a staple with a 10mm depth on it. Well, if you've got an air stapler, they're better, but this seems to work okay. Just a couple just to hold it. Make sure it's all nice and tight. Work your way along, pulling it tight as you go. Important that you check to make sure that your lines are all straight. What we need to do now, if I can find my good Stanley knife, there it is. Just need to make some room on the seats now, so it folds over down here. So just gently cut the leather. Don't cut it too far, as I say. You can always cut a bit off, but you can never put it back on. Key is to make sure that you keep everything nice and tight, so you just need to make sure all this is trimmed out. I'll get all this trimmed out, I think, to save time, and then I'll show you the final stapling. Okay, got this end primarily done. It's not fixed properly yet, but it's getting there. What we got to do now is the same on this side. Fold it in, pull the tails over, fold them back, Right, now that's basically it. It's still not 100% tidy yet, but we want to get the rest of the thing folded up. So when you are pulling and folding, try and get a straight line along the bottom. I mean, all this is hidden by the seat squabs, but it's nice to know that you've got it as neat as possible. Must have hit a screw under there, I think. Right, do that again. Just keep pushing it down, keeping the tension on the back piece of plastic. Just work your way along. Make that just a fraction shorter there. Push a little bit down in. That's it there. Right, I'll do a little bit of editing on this this one because it's quite a long one. Not to get any the white edges showing because it just looks better if it's as it should be. Right, basically that's about it. The edges, I've just got to tidy the edges up a little bit. Just to push these in, level them up. But all in all, that's looking reasonably good. Right, I'll switch off for the moment, and I'll just get all the side pieces sorted out, and then I'll show you the finished assembly. Okay, there's the finished item, ready to go in the car now. All done, all the rollers painted, leather all looking reasonably good. Quite pleased with that. The lines are nice and straight. Needs a bit of a clean, but all in all, not too bad. There you go. That's the folded ends that here that are quite difficult. But just as I say, just take your time. Don't rush it. Don't cut too much off at once, and it'll be okay. Right, as usual, thanks for watching. Sorry it went on a bit long, but it's quite a job to do, and I'm pleased with it. Right, thanks again for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.